Batman is the most versatile superhero of all time. Whether he's in a comic, movie, show, game, audio drama, or even novel, there isn't a medium that he hasn't dominated, save for one: musicals. Well, what if I told you that in the late 90s and early 2000s, Batman was set to have a Broadway musical, with music written by the mind behind Total Eclipse of the Heart and Bat Out of Hell? Well, that's the musical we'll be discussing today, as we break down the development and cancellation of Batman the Musical. The year was 1994. Disney released their Broadway adaptation of Beauty and the Beast to overwhelming success, which caught the attention of Warner Brothers executive Gregg Maday, who felt that WB, like Disney, had a catalog of films that could be adapted to the stage. In his mind, a successful musical based on one of their movies could make the studio some extra money, as well as bolster the source material's popularity. Though, when Maday started to pitch the idea internally, it was not very well received. No one was focused on it, nobody cared, it did not look like it was a mainstream business. But he was undeterred. It finally got to the point where I got every division head at the studio to get together in one room, and I made a formal presentation to them about how this would benefit every division in the company if we were to get into the theater business. And finally, his wish was granted, and after combing through the studio's catalog of stories, one in particular caught his eye. In late 1998, news would break that Batman was taking Broadway, that the project could possibly release in 2000 or 2001, and that they were negotiating with Grammy-winning composer Jim Steinman, best known for writing albums for Meat Loaf and Bonnie Tyler, to write the music. With Steinman's manager commenting at the time, this is a very exciting project that Jim was born to write. Shortly after, Steinman would join the project, and Maday would recall that gothic rock and roll did translate to that world. In April of 1999, it was reported that David Ives was brought on to write the book, and the duo would go on to develop the project for a few years. In September of 2002, it was reported that Tim Burton was signed on to direct the project, when Steinman stated that this was the case. Though, in the preceding years, Burton has made statements which make it sound like he was only courted but not signed. Reportedly, Burton was unhappy with the direction the Batman film series took following Batman Returns. So, with this musical, he wanted to re-establish his original vision. His major impulse is to redeem the soul of the Batman series. And at that point, the plan was to open the project off Broadway in 2004, then open on Broadway in 2005. The musical was set to tell the story of the early days of Batman and how he became the hero of Gotham. In the years following the project's demise, Steinman would release his demos for the show's songs and reveal plot details, giving us some insight into this Batman's beginning. The show was set to open with a number known as the Song of Gotham City, where, as night falls, the citizens of the city brace themselves for the oncoming night of crime.
Will the sirens never cease? Will the fires fade away? Gotham City is our home, but we fear the end of days. From the cradle to the grave, from the dawn to the last twilight. Looks like it's gonna be a dark one tonight. Looks like it's gonna be a dark one tonight.
Before eventually transitioning into a panoramic view of the Gotham skyline, dotted with spires and gargoyles, when one of them starts to move, revealing itself to be Batman, who launches into an introspective song about his job as the Caped Crusader, called The Graveyard Shift.
There are things that happen only in the dark, and I see it all. I see it, all of the devils are rising, as all of the angels are starting to fall. Maybe it's a curse, maybe it's a gift, but I see it all. I work the graveyard shift.
Catwoman was set to appear in the show and serve as Batman's love interest. Steinman would describe Ives' version of her character as a witness to the murder of Bruce Wayne's parents, a street urchin who happened to see it all hidden away. The brutal murders haunt both Bruce and Selina, but both respond totally differently to their traumatic bruising. Bruce learns to vow revenge and becomes the avenging knight Batman. But Selina is most mentally scarred by realizing how easily things that are precious can be taken from you. So Selina grows up craving precious jewels and obsessed with holding onto them. Only when she transforms into Catwoman are her love of danger and lust for precious jewels and crime what dominates her. It's the secret total possession of them that drives her, not the public display. So both witnesses to the crime of the Wayne's horrific murder by Joker has mutated two little observers. Bruce became Batman, Selina became Catwoman. Two little lost children have mutated through their own complex reactions to a numbing loss and, in fact, fall in love. The musical featured a solo number for her known only as Catwoman's Song, which, while never explicitly confirmed, seems to be her introductory number.
The wind is sharp and makes me shiver. The nights I promised will it deliver. The nothingness surrounds me, makes me so reflective. I've got 9 lives just like they said, and all of them defective. Forever I'll be collecting jewels and regrets. Forever is such a long, long time, and most of it hasn't even happened yet.
The Joker was set to be the show's big bad and had a planned, manic song called Wonderful Toys.
How did Esmeralda get a hunchback to fall? What exactly does a priest do when he answers the call? How did Julius Caesar deal with all of that gall? Do you think I'm off my rocker, off the wagon, on a bender, on the cutie, on a roll, I'm on a tear and on the ball? And how did Abercrombie and Fitch come up with so many boys? And where does he get all those wonderful, wonderful toys?
Even the corrupt leaders of Gotham City had a song called In the Land of the Pig, the Butcher is King, which according to Steinman was meant to be comically, grotesquely frightening.
Can't you hear the choir now? Listen to the marketplace sing. Can't you hear the slaughterhouse bells? In the land of the pig, the butcher is king. In the land of the pig, the butcher is king.
Batman and Catwoman had a love ballad called Not Allowed to Love, which was seemingly the song that the team behind the show thought could cross into the mainstream, evidenced by the fact that additional demos were also prepared, envisioning pop and dance versions of the song.
I'm not allowed to love, not allowed to fall. It seems that after all some rules must be unbroken.
I'm not allowed to love till they legalize it here. The kind of love I need has been forbidden so long. But my head will be unbowed. I'm certainly no fool. I'm no fool. For I know we'll always be allowed to find exceptions to the rule.
According to Steinman, at the end of Batman, under the fiery ruins of an elevated train and track, fighting ferociously with Joker, Catwoman and Batman unite. And in the battle, Catwoman is mortally wounded, saving Batman's life heroically. In a climactic elegiac song, Batman, holding the dying Catwoman in his arms, sings We're Still the Children We Once Were, along with the expiring Catwoman, and with themselves as the little kids who saw the murder. It forms a hopefully thrilling, tragic quartet. Bruce as an orphan, Selina as a terrified urchin, Batman as a heart-shattered avenger, and Catwoman as a dying, doomed hero. A spine-tingling quartet. Batman's final act of gruesome revenge still awaits, but this is the operatic finale.
We're still the children we were then, and we never found a way. We never did get home. Where's mommy, daddy, where'd they go? They've left us here alone. And with all the arts we've mastered, all the things we've known, who's gone to take us home? We're still the children we were then. Who's gone to take us home?
And finally, there's Cry to Heaven, which seems to be the show's closer, though that's purely speculation.
Cry, baby, cry, cry, cry to heaven. Say a prayer and light a candle, toll a bell. Cry, baby, cry, cry, cry to heaven. And if that doesn't do it for you, go ahead and cry like hell.
Between song demos being completed and the story seemingly worked out, everything seemed to be moving along with Batman. So that raises the question, why did it get canned? Concurrently to the production of Batman, Steinman and Ives were working on a different Broadway adaptation, Dance of the Vampires, which was an adaptation of the German musical Tanz der Vampire, which in itself is an adaptation of The Fearless Vampire Killers. After opening in 2003, it shut down after only 56 performances, going on to become one of the most notorious flops in Broadway history. After the total collapse of that show, the idea of another Steinman and Ives joint was creative kryptonite. Maday couldn't find a director, and the project imploded. Which I think is a shame, because conceptually, a Batman musical is a really novel idea. As a result of the more grounded nature of the character and the resulting lack of a need for intricate special effects, he may be the superhero most suited to a musical. As something that would have run in parallel with all of the other pieces of Batman media in the 2000s, I really think that this musical could have been a delightful oddity. But that's the story of Batman the Musical, and the end of yet another episode of Canned Goods. So until next time, thank you so much for watching, be good to each other, and stay Hemas.